Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the University of Adelaide graduation ceremony. This afternoon's ceremony is for the graduates from the Faculty of Arts, Business, Law and Economics. The ceremony will commence very shortly. The university has a contract photographer to provide photography services during the ceremony. So if you do wish to take photos, can I ask that you do so discreetly, sitting from your seat, and please do not use flash. To maintain the ceremony's sense of occasion, please switch off your mobile phone or send it to silent. And in the case of an emergency, please follow the direction of staff members. The emergency assembly point is on the Goodman Crescent lawns, which is to the western side of Benithan Hall. The evacuation plan can be found on page 9 of the program. For safety reasons, anybody sitting upstairs, please do not enter the galleries or the hallways along there. Remain seated and please do not go towards the balcony. Before we begin, I kindly ask that you direct your attention to the detailed order of proceedings which will guide us through the ceremony. Accompanying this, you will find the graduation ceremony booklet which serves as a cherished memento for this day. Soon the academic procession will be coming, but in the meantime, thank you, and I'll be back in a few moments. The academic procession is about to enter the hall. We'll be singing the national anthem, and the words for this are on page 8 of your program. Please now stand if you're comfortably able to do so for the academic procession, and remain standing for the national anthem. Thank you.
Please be seated. I, Catherine Branson, Chancellor of the University of Adelaide, declare open this congregation convened for the purpose of presenting degrees. Distinguished guests, parents, friends, relatives, most importantly, those of you graduating this afternoon, welcome to the University of Adelaide's graduation ceremony. Gana Miana, Gana Yata, Nadlu Thampande, we recognise that we're on Gana land. We acknowledge the Ghana people, past and present, the traditional custodians of the lands on which our university's campuses are built, and we acknowledge their ongoing spiritual connection to this beautiful land. Graduates, your graduation is an event in which I hope you take great pride. I know that your family, friends and other supporters take great pride in your success, and the University of Adelaide does as well. You are, of course, graduating from the law school from which I graduated now very many years ago. My law degree opened up for me wonderful opportunities that I could never have imagined when I started studying law. I'm confident the same thing will happen to nearly all of you, and I hope you won't say no to any of those opportunities without thinking very carefully before you do. This day, your graduation day, is, you might think, an opportunity for you to reflect. Just to think about what it was that brought you here when you started your degree, what you've gone through to get to this graduation day, and what might lie ahead of you in the future. Wherever your future takes you, I feel confident that the knowledge you've gained here, the skills you'll develop, will stand you in very good stead. I hope not just in your professional and working life, but in all aspects of your life. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today's graduation orator, Murray Shaw KC. Murray Shaw was born and raised on a farm on South Australia's Eyre Peninsula. She attended secondary school in Adelaide as a boarder and was awarded a scholarship to study for 12 months near Boston, Massachusetts, with International Youth Exchange Organisation, AFS. Graduating with a Bachelor of Laws from the University of Adelaide in 1974, Murray completed her articles of clerkship with Frank Moran QC and was admitted to practice in the Supreme Court of South Australia in 1976. Murray joined the Independent Bar in 1986 and has appeared in various jurisdictions, including the High Court of Australia. She was appointed Queen's Counsel in 1996. Murray has also served as Chief Counsel at the Legal Services Commission of South Australia, as a part-time Commissioner of the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission, and as a Judge of the District Court of South Australia. In 2022, she became the first female President of the South Australian Bar Association, a position she held until 2024. In 2005, Murray established the ICE Factor program for at-risk and disadvantaged teenagers. The program uses the sport of ice hockey to teach participants team skills, capture motivation, to help them stay engaged at school and to find hope. 20 years later, there were 22 high schools participating in the program and 300 teenagers taking part each week. In 2017, Murray supported 2 ICE Factor participants to set up Australia's first Indigenous ice hockey team, the Ghana Boomerangs. The Ghana Boomerangs have since travelled and played across Australia and internationally. We're privileged to hear Murray speak today. Please join me in making her welcome.
Thank you, the Honourable Catherine Branson, ACSC Chancellor. And thank you, Professor Jessica Gallagher, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, External Engagement. Thank you, distinguished guests, University of Adelaide academics, researchers and staff in attendance today, and especially you, the graduates who are attending today with your family and friends. I feel honoured to be able to be asked to speak to you and to share with you some of my memories and what I've learned on my journey to speak to you today. It's fair to say that never in my wildest dreams, as I ran barefoot through three-corner jacks, picking up stumps from mallee trees, felled to clear the land for a wheat crop on Eyre Peninsula, did I imagine that my life would take me beyond grade 7 at the primary school where education ended. Never in my wildest dreams, when I skipped off to boarding school in Adelaide to access a high school education, did I forget for a moment the sacrifice of my parents that gave me that opportunity, which so many of my primary school classmates were denied. And indeed, my father, who was unable to progress beyond grade 7, despite repeating grade 7 to try and get a scholarship. And never in my wildest dreams did I imagine when my Year 11 economics teacher said to me, at a time when I was sitting at about 10th in the class, that I could top the state in economics, that I would, and I did, and learn that sheer hard work, commitment and self-belief can take you to the top of your field. But I learnt it was possible for me. It is possible for each one of you graduating today. But that gratitude I felt for my parents' sacrifices went further back. It started with my grandfather, Howard Tilley, who fought on the Western Front in World War I, was gassed, sent back to England, returned to the battlefields only to be shot at Villers-Bretonneux. Yet he returned home when so many of his mates did not. He then dedicated his life to not just turning untamed scrub farming land on Eyre Peninsula into cropping land, but to building a community hall at Butler in honour of those who did not return, and so that we would not forget them and not forget why we live in a free land. However, as fate would have it, my grandmother was struck down with illness, bedridden, and they were forced to leave their farm to come to Adelaide for her medical treatment. So my grandfather left behind everything that had value to him, but not once did he express regret. Not once did he suggest that the world owed him, and not once did he lose hope in what his life could be. And so, at the ripe old age of 67, he began to learn to fly a plane. He became the eldest graduate of the flying school in Adelaide. And so I urge you, graduating today, always remember, each day is a new beginning, and that beginning will always be in your hands. And secondly, I am grateful for my mentor, Frank Moran QC, who allowed me to walk in his shadow, to learn from junioring him in court, and who also taught me how to overcome my deep-seated fears. The fear of appearing before what I witnessed as a young lawyer was oftentimes a demanding and merciless court. And I vividly recall what he said to me as I prepared for my first Supreme Court appearance before a justice whose reputation meant he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Mr. Moran said to me, "Mari, you just need to remember one thing. He can't kill you." And he wrote me a note of encouragement, comparing me to the Saxon queen Boadicea, telling me to sharpen up my swords, climb into the chariot and take him on. Of course, as we know, Queen Boadicea was well and truly trounced by the Romans. But the message wasn't in her defeat, but rather that since time immemorial, seemingly insignificant figures have taken on monumental and even hopeless tasks, but they are not remembered for their defeat or their failure, but rather for their fearlessness and willingness to stand up for what is right. I might conclude by sharing with you the last words spoken to me by my inspiration, Frank Moran QC. I became aware that after having been in respite care for some time, he had returned home to spend his final days. And I wanted to see him one final time before he passed. His wife Peggy met me at the door and showed me to his room, where he sat hunched over in a wheelchair. I knelt down in front of him and looked up at him and said, "Mr. Moran, I want to thank you for everything you have done for me." He grunted. I continued, "Not just for me as a lawyer, but also for me as a person." He said, "I know." I said, "Why did you believe in me?" He said, "Why shouldn't I?" I said, "Because I never thought I had any ability." He said, "Mari, it's those who think they have ability that don't, because they lack humility." And so, graduates, I urge you, be brave, be humble, and never forget those who have made your achievements possible and will make your future possible for you. Thank you.
On behalf of the graduates and their families attending today's ceremony, I would like to thank Mari Shaw for her inspiring address. We are honoured that you have taken the time to join us on this special day to share with us your thoughts, experiences and wisdom. Your words remind us that education places upon each of us an enduring responsibility to make the best possible use of our talents and contribute and to have gratitude in the ways that we should and can. Please join me in once again thanking Mari Shaw.
I will now receive the candidates for degrees. I call on the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, External Engagement.
Chancellor, I, Professor Jessica Gallagher, Deputy Vice-Chancellor External Engagement of the University of Adelaide, certify to you and the whole university that the graduates who will be presented to you have all fulfilled the conditions prescribed for the admission to the award for which they are so presented.
I, Catherine Branson, Chancellor of the University of Adelaide, by virtue of the power committed to me by the university, confirm that each graduate is admitted to the rank and privileges of a holder of the award in the University of Adelaide for which they are so presented. I call on the head of the Adelaide Law School, Professor Judith McNamara, to present the graduates.
Chancellor, I, head of the Adelaide Law School, Professor Judith McNamara, present to you graduates from the Adelaide Law School. To the Professional Certificate in Nuclear Law, Laura and Tony Artsy. Kerry Ann Pelzeski. Hannah Genevieve Tolley. To the Professional Certificate in Arbitration, Jeanette Pearce. To the degree of Bachelor of Laws, also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, A.N. Abdi Rashid Ali. Finlay Alexander Aitkins. Also receiving the degree of Diploma in Languages and Bachelor of International Development, Yom Abraham Atim Aki. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Business, Alyssa Alid. Megan Ray Alexander. Madeline Grace Allchurch. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Media, Henry Lim James Allen. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Isabella Ferris Baggio. Omar Baig. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Accounting and Corporate Finance, Sanjam Preet Kaur Bajwa. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Catherine Jane Baker. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics, Arian Banerjee. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, William James Baker. Samuel David Solomon Barnfield. Veronica Ann Beecham. Stephanie May Bevan. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Lucy Grace Blinkiron. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Dimitri Biesis. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Elsa Ingrid Bralick. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Nicholas Matthew Brown. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Connor Butler Peters. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Hannah Daisy Campbell. Alexander John Carey. Julia Olivia Cavuto. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Charles Kolovic. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Business, Jonathan Conti. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Paige Georgia Coles. Zara Celeste Cox. Sophie Alexandra Currier. Alan Michael Sena. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Samuel Frederick Delgado. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, William Day. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences, Jan Singh Defont Galland. Crescenzo Diulio. Jarlin Dwan. Nicholas Amelie. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Sophie Jane Fall. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Wai Young Fang. Natanya Ruth Fisher. Dwayne David Freeman. Alec John Walter Garner. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Rafiq Gayed. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Accounting, Claudia Rose Geeky. Darcy May Gleeson. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Millie Bartell Grant. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts Advanced, Sukhpreet Grill. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Matthew John Griffin. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics Advanced, Jack Gulliver. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Madeline Kate Habgood. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Ruby Grace Hendry Haynes. Michelle Lee Hall. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts Advanced, Jordan Lee Harbidge Marks. J. Rainier Helbers. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Brodie Henderson. Misa Hirahara. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Yi Ching Hong. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Mistia Gulilat Grace Horn. Amanda Tao Mai Si. Catherine Marie Jennis. Kate Patricia Carmen Jolly. Also receiving the degree in Diploma of Languages and a Bachelor of Arts Advanced, Sophie Rianne Jones. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Surim Jung. Madison Taylor Cantarius. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Christopher Capitanos. Nicole Kazkak. Chloe Ann Katzer. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Benjamin Philip Kahn. Lau Jia N. Bryan. Hannah Olivia Lawler. Blake Lawrenson. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Caitlin Leona Laurie. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Ivy Lee. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Business, Isabella Rochelle Lehman. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Business, Kate Lipsham. Also receiving the degree of Diploma in Languages and a Bachelor of International Relations, Chung Chu Judy Liu. Yi Jun Lo. Matthew James Burke Lowe. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Gabriella Rose Loy. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Pascal Alexander Lutolf. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Kabir Singh Luthra. Melchoria Elena Delors Santos Marbilog. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Lily Dawn Macarath. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics, Declan Matthew Malone. Also receiving the degree of Diploma in Languages and a Bachelor of International Relations, Malena Leah Mavrikis. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Sam May. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics Advanced, Benjamin Andrew McAdams. Kane McCaskill. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Ella Beatrice McNaught. Alessia Angela Mercurio. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Lachlan Isaac Edmund Everett Mills. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics, Adina Mastura Binti Muhammad Adzahar. Konstantinos Demetrius Molivatis. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Harry Morrissey. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics Advanced, Victoria Alexandra Maladelis. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Science, Julia Claire Munro. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Tao Fong Wen. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Tien Phuc Wen. Clinton Joseph Knightsky. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics, Benjamin Richard Norris. Joanna Noonan. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Sophie Charlotte Scott O'Grady. Edwina Elaine Page. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Corporate Finance, Danis Pulisha. Patricia Constance Papathanasopoulos. Aniket Parmaswaran. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts Advanced, Angus Renoost Pattinson. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Tatiana Pavlik. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Claire Peterson. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts Advanced, Taylor Patelli. Sarthak Prashar. Fiona Emily Piccini. Sebastian William Queenie. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Business Management, Netra Ram Kumar. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Luca David Rinaldi. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Anthony Romeo. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Sergio Miguel Santalicia Selmarin. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Media, James Peter Sexton. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Jordana Hope Schillebeer. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Corporate Finance, Wee Koon Lauren Sim. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Eve Scoos Fildes. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Philosophy, Politics and Economics, Daniel Dusan Sladojevic. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Harriet Patricia Smith. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, William Smithson Thomas. Jacob Christopher Snook. Sam Squayo. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Kaylee Kiara Stock. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Matthew Richard Stone. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Sophie Grace Stratfold. Alina Taylor. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Aditi Temhanka. Zoe Marie Tamita. Austin David Tavian. Deanna Louise Taylor. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Isabel Rose Rushton Tyndall. Panayota Savasti Tolis. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Jordan Yui Tan Tran. Daniel Christopher Travers. Hugh High Tony 2. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Jack Patrick van der Haak. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Michaela Catherine Vanning. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Alicia Paris Virilli. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Maria Eduardo Viana Pacheco. Jan Marie Victory. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Business Management, Kate Veronica Catherine Walsh. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bay Walther. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Economics Advanced, Morgan Ashley Warren. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Flynn Lawrence Wedd. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Thomas Leon Wedding. Kirsten Kelly Weiser. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, India Kate Stratford Witten. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Damon Lee Wilmot. And receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Jasmine Zanata. To the honours degree of Bachelor of Laws, also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Business, Cameron David Akehurst. Georgia Helen Louise Chiswell. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Environmental Policy and Management, Catherine Emma Nicole Cooper. Michael Lewis Croft. Valentino Gennaro Esposito. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Kush M. Goyal. Anthony Constantine Kiusis. Julia Matteo. Thomas James Davies McClure. Michelle Newman. Gabrielle Overton. Maya Panakahi. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Relations, Ricky Theodora Kakos. And also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences Advanced, Bella Rose Binney Blakeney Watts. To the Graduate Diploma in Military Law, Mark Anthony Lyle. And Trevor Young. To the Graduate Diploma in Legal Practice, Qian Gong. Azimina Georgina Gretzis. Natalie Tao Win Wen. Mark David O'Neill. Niru Shrestha. And Eric Tanu Wijawaya. To the degree of Master of Laws, Nilakashi Madhushika Gunaratni Kanapadala Gamage. And Andrew Edward Christopher Paul Reid. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, for a thesis entitled The Members' Oppression Remedy, Can It Be Used When a Company is in Liquidation? Should it be used? Dr. Nadia Ruth Hess. And for a thesis entitled Limiting the Scope of Social Justice Through Contradiction of Values, Unpacking the Epistemic Structure of Affirmative Action Jurisprudence in India and United States, Dr. Savinder Singh. Chancellor, this concludes the graduates from the Adelaide Law School and for this ceremony.
Chancellor, every year the university presents university medals to acknowledge the most outstanding graduates in each faculty who have completed a University of Adelaide bachelor's degree with honours or bachelor's degree of at least 4 years duration. The university medals are awarded to them for their consistent, outstanding performance across the whole of their undergraduate studies. I, Professor Jessica Gallagher, Deputy Vice-Chancellor External Engagement of the University of Adelaide, present to you a recipient of the 2024 University Medal for the Adelaide Law School, Madeline McNeil.
I'm delighted now to introduce to you Michelle Newman, who this afternoon received a Bachelor of Laws with honours. She'll give the valedictory address on behalf of the cohort of graduates who received their awards this afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is a great honour to speak to you today and a pleasure to now extend my warmest congratulations to my fellow graduates on their graduation from the Adelaide Law School. The beginning of our careers has arrived after many years of hard work. A memorable aspect of my time at law school has been the many hours spent learning about the at times bizarre context in which the law has developed. Truth is indeed stranger than fiction. That is exemplified by how a snail in a bottle of ginger beer led to the development of the law of negligence, how a pair of itchy underwear led to a 20-day trial in the South Australian Supreme Court, a 6-day appeal in the High Court of Australia, to be then overruled by the Privy Council in London, ultimately changing consumer law as we knew it, and how an operation involving grafting skin from the plaintiff's chest to his hand went horribly wrong, and instead of the 100% perfect hand warranted, resulted in a hairy hand, culminating in a foundational case in the law of contract and the calculation of damages, which was later immortalized in the film The Paper Chase. The law is not static. It is always developing. You never know where a career in the law will take you. For example, while at law school, I was fortunate to research in the discipline of space law, which at first may appear like something more of a science fiction movie. Although inclined to attract so-called law nerds, which I admit, and indeed it would be futile to deny, there are highly incriminating debates among space lawyers you may find online concerning Darth Vader's violations of the Outer Space Treaty and the application of the rescue agreement to Chewbacca and R2-D2. Space law is nonetheless of increasing importance due to the renewed interest in human activities in outer space, with the return of humans to the moon in 2027. Space law is vital in ensuring that the exploration and use of outer space is carried out for the benefit and in the interests of all countries. What happens in space is increasingly affecting life on Earth, from navigation and telecommunications to security and innovations in technology, consequently ushering in a new frontier in the law. Know that wherever life takes you, your degree will serve as a strong cornerstone. We graduate today from the second oldest law school in Australia, and indeed the first Australian law school to admit women. As one of the oldest law schools in Australia, there are many who have paved the way that is now before us. Alumni of this law school have enjoyed brilliant careers. I will name just a few. They include a Prime Minister, 4 Premiers, Deputy Premiers, Attorney Generals, Federal and State Ministers, and a Governor of South Australia. distinguished professors of law and chancellors of this very university, judges of the International Court of Justice, the Federal Court of Australia, the South Australian Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, whose presidents and past 5 Chief Justices have been alumni of this very law school. Remember that they all started where we are right now, as just one of you and me. Sitting amongst you today in Bonython Hall will be judges, barristers, solicitors, politicians, and university professors. These are positions of great influence. You represent those who will have the power to make a difference. Graduates, today we celebrate a significant milestone. However, the path that has brought each of us here today is not one walked alone. I would like to take a moment to extend a vote of thanks to those who have supported each of us in our journey. I would in particular like to thank the academics who have made the Adelaide Law School excellent. Finally, but most importantly, I would like to thank my parents who instilled in me a love of learning and have been with me every step of the way. I now invite all of the graduates to please stand and join me to thank our family, our friends, mentors, university staff, and everyone else who has supported us throughout the journey that has led up to our graduation today. We thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. It now gives me great pleasure to congratulate as a cohort all of you who have graduated this afternoon. I hope you feel proud of what you've achieved, but as Michelle has reminded you, do remember those who supported you along the way. As graduates of the University of Adelaide, you are now one of its alumni, and you are also its ambassadors throughout the world. Over the more than 150 years since this university was established, its alumni have made enormous contributions all around the globe. Today you join this group of more than 174,000 alumni of the University of Adelaide, who can be found in more than 148 countries of the world. We have 21 global alumni networks, and 8 of them are international networks. I hope you might give some thought to perhaps joining one of those alumni networks. Let me now thank the mace bearer, Madeleine McNeil, and again the valedictorian, Michelle Newman, and everybody who assisted in the organisation and running of today's event. As we move to close this ceremony, could I ask the graduates to remain standing while I invite all of our guests to join with me in one final round of applause for those who graduated today. I ask the graduates to remain standing, and I invite everybody else to stand for the academic recession. Once the academic recession has left the hall, we ask our guests to remain in their place, and university staff will help them exit the hall in an efficient way. I now declare this congregation adjourned.
Thank you.